After nearly 40 years of separation, an elephant named Charlie was on the verge of seeing the caretaker who had looked after him as a calf. A reunion that seemed beyond anyone's wildest dreams. What followed would touch even the hardest of hearts. Can you really confirm it's him? Ryan Carter questioned, his tone filled with both doubt and longing as he held an aged photograph of a young elephant. The elephant in the image had expressive, gentle eyes, and the memories seemed like they belonged to another lifetime. At 63, Ryan was returning to Africa, a place he hadn't set foot in for nearly 4 decades. Life had taken him far from his youth in the African wilderness, but he had never forgotten Charlie, the orphaned elephant he'd helped raise in his early 20s. Ryan had been a volunteer wildlife researcher back then, worked tirelessly with young elephants at Greenfield Sanctuary, a place that had once felt like home. News reached him that an elephant matching Charlie's description had returned to the sanctuary, sparking a flood of emotions. Ryan had not seen or heard about Charlie in 39 years, ever since the elephant was relocated to another reserve. Over the years, Ryan had wondered what had become of the young calf who had once been his shadow. Now he couldn't resist the call to see if it was truly Charlie. Ryan knew the odds weren't in his favor. Elephants live long lives, but they also learned to adapt and move on. When he arrived at the sanctuary, he was welcomed by Emma, a young ranger in her late 20s who introduced herself as the daughter of his former colleague Max. "My dad used to tell me stories about you and Charlie," she said warmly, her smile lighting up her face. "You two were inseparable." As they strolled through the sanctuary, Ryan shared the old photograph of Charlie and recounted cherished memories of their time together. "He used to follow me around like a puppy," Ryan said, his voice thick with nostalgia. "We'd play hide and seek among the trees. He always found me." Though Emma listened intently, but her expression was tinged with caution. "Ryan," she said gently, "you should prepare yourself. It's been a long time. Elephants have strong memories, yes, but nearly 4 decades is a lifetime." Despite the warning, Ryan couldn't shake the hope that clung to him. He remembered the unique bond he shared with Charlie, the mischievous glint in the elephant's eyes, and the way he would respond to Ryan's voice. It was the connection too deep to simply fade away, wasn't it? As they approached the main grounds, Emma explained that Charlie had been spotted returning to the reserve about a year ago. He was one of the oldest elephants there now, and while he showed signs of recognizing certain places and things, no one had seen him respond to a person the way Ryan was hoping. The odds were stacked against him, yet Ryan's determination only deepened. "I just have to see him," Ryan whispered softly. "Even if he doesn't recognize me, I need to know he's all right." As Ryan walked the well-worn trails of Greenfield Sanctuary, memories came rushing back in vivid waves. He felt the passage of time pressing heavily on him while he navigated the sprawling landscape. The sanctuary had grown immensely, and the influx of visitors was noticeably larger than before. It was no longer the modest sanctuary he remembered. It was now a bustling reserve with tourists, school groups, and researchers alike. Ryan spent the morning retracing his old routes, stopping by the rangers' quarters where he used to feed the young elephants. He couldn't help but smile as he recalled Charlie's antics the time the calf had managed to sneak into the kitchen and steal a whole bunch of bananas as he passed by the training pens Ryan noticed some of the younger elephants playing, reminding him of Charlie's playful nature. In the afternoon, Emma took him to see Max, who had come out of retirement to visit when he heard Ryan was back. Max looked older, but his eyes still carried the same spark of curiosity. They embraced like lifelong friends who had shared not just a workplace but a deep passion for wildlife. Good to see you, Dan, Max said, warmly giving him a firm clap on the back. Side by side they walked through the sanctuary, talking about all the changes that had taken place over the years. As the two old friends reminisced, Ryan felt a swirl of emotions. Excitement mingled with a tinge of anxiety. He started to wonder if Charlie would still have that same mischievous spark in his personality, but Max's cautious words tempered his expectations. I won't lie to you, Ryan. We've seen Charlie up close a few times. He's different now, wiser, yes, but also more reserved. The years have changed him. The bond you once shared might now feel like a distant memory to the elephant, but Ryan refused to let go of hope. He needed to believe that the elephant he had cared for and loved all those years ago was still in there somewhere. He clutched the old photograph he had brought with him, a symbol of the past. The following day, the reserve held a special event where visitors could observe the elephants in the open fields. Ryan knew that Charlie would be there, and he could feel his heart pounding with anticipation. The event attracted a larger crowd than he had expected. Families, children, photographers, and even journalists were present, their chatter filling the air as the elephants emerged. The crowd's excitement grew. Ryan's eyes scanned the group, and then he saw him, the towering, majestic elephant, strode steadily across the open field, his size and age distinguishing him from the rest. His tusks had grown long and elegantly curved. His skin was thicker and more weathered, yet his movements carried a familiar grace that Ryan recognized instantly. Charlie stopped, and for a brief moment it seemed as if his gaze scanned the crowd before settling on Ryan. The moment was fleeting, but it ignited a spark of hope in Ryan. Could Charlie have remembered him? He called out to Emma, who was stationed near the edge of the field, explaining what had happened. She suggested Ryan move closer once the event ended. As the crowd began to disperse, Ryan carefully approached the field, keeping his distance to avoid startling Charlie. He held out the photograph, his voice trembling as he called Charlie's name. Charlie, it's me. Do you remember? Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us. Thank you very much. The elephant's ears flicked, but there was no clear sign that he recognized Ryan. The crowd had dispersed, leaving the area nearly empty except for a few staff members and the remaining elephants. Ryan felt his hope falter. Was this the closest he would come to reviving their connection? Then something unexpected occurred. Another elephant nudged Charlie's side, prompting him to let out a deep rumble as his trunk rose slightly in Ryan's direction. It wasn't much, but it was enough to ignite a spark of recognition. Emma, who had been observing from a distance, noticed the subtle exchange and quickly gestured for Ryan to take another step forward. Just as Ryan took another cautious step forward, Charlie's posture changed. His ears flared and he moved quickly toward Ryan. There was a sudden shift in the air. What had seemed like a quiet moment was now charged with tension. Ryan froze, his mind racing. Was Charlie angry? Had he misjudged the situation before he could react. Charlie's trunk wrapped around his waist, lifting him off the ground. The massive creature held Ryan upside down in a gasp went through the small crowd of onlookers who had stayed behind. To the bystanders it looked as if the elephant was about to hurt him, and panic rippled through the staff members who were ready to intervene. Dangling in the air, Ryan could do nothing but meet Charlie's gaze, searching desperately for a hint of familiarity or hostility. A rush of adrenaline coursed through him, his heart thundering in his chest, yet he forced himself to remain composed, trying to comprehend what was unfolding. For a few agonizing seconds it felt as though his destiny was sealed. Then, just as abruptly as it began, Charlie gently set him back on the ground, his movements unexpectedly tender. The tension shattered and Ryan leaped out a breath. He hadn't realized he was holding the Rangers relaxed, and Emma rushed to his side, her eyes wide with concern. "Are you okay? What just happened?" she asked breathlessly. "I think he knows," Ryan said, his voice filled with awe and relief. There was something in his eyes, like he was trying to remember. Charlie took a step back, his trunk extending toward Ryan in a gesture that seemed almost hesitant, as if he was still trying to place this man who had once been so important to him. Ryan moved closer, his hand reaching out until his fingers brushed the elephant's rough skin. He could see something in Charlie's eyes, curiosity, perhaps even recognition. Slowly the elephant lowered his head and "Ryan," whispered Charlie, "I never forgot about you." Tears welled up in Ryan's eyes, not just because of the reunion, but because of the overwhelming realization that Charlie, despite the passing of nearly 4 decades, still seemed to recognize him on some deeper level. Charlie's demeanor shifted, hesitation giving way to a sense of recognition, as if a long-buried memory had suddenly come to light. His trunk extended toward Ryan's face, moving with cautious curiosity, tracing the air as though reacquainting himself with an old friend. For a moment, it felt as though time itself stood still. The remaining visitors, Rangers, and staff watched in hushed amazement, bearing witness to the reawakening of a bond thought lost to the years. The atmosphere was charged with an emotion so profound that even the animals in nearby enclosures fell silent. Then Charlie emitted a deep rumbling purr, an unmistakable sound Ryan remembered well from the days when the young elephant would nuzzle against him as a calf. The crowd around them, realizing they were witnessing something extraordinary, began to murmur softly. Some had tears in their eyes, moved by the rare and raw display of connection between man and beast. Cameras clicked, capturing the moment for posterity. Emma moved closer, her voice a soft, cautious, "Maybe we should give him some space. He's been through a lot today." But Ryan wasn't ready to end the day. "Just one more try," he said, his voice tinged with determination. Ryan took a deep breath and reached into his backpack, pulling out an old bell, a cherished relic from their early training days. The sound of the bell had once been Charlie's signal for playtime. Ryan rang it softly, the clear, familiar tone resonating through the air. For a moment Charlie stood still, his ears spreading wide as he listened intently. The next moments were critical. If the sound triggered an unpleasant memory or overwhelmed him, it could set back their progress. Ryan waited, barely breathing, as he watched Charlie's reaction. Charlie took a hesitant step forward, his eyes fixed on the bell. Slowly he approached Ryan, reaching out with his trunk to nudge the bell. Ryan's heart swelled with a mix of Joy and relief he gently stroked Charlie's trunk and continued to ring the bell at intervals, trying to make the memory stronger. The elephant appeared to relax, and then something extraordinary unfolded. Charlie knelt down, lowering his massive head gently against Ryan's chest, just as he had done as a calf when seeking comfort. It was a gesture of profound vulnerability and trust. The staff members, observing from a distance, were struck silent with awe, and even Emma seemed visibly moved, her emotions written across her face as Ryan stood motionless, overwhelmed by the weight of the moment, with Charlie's head resting against him. Their peaceful reunion was suddenly disrupted by an unexpected visitor. Another male elephant, younger and more aggressive, had wandered into the area. He was known for challenging the older elephants, and seeing Ryan so close to Charlie seemed to provoke him. With a sudden loud trumpeting, he began moving toward them, his posture displaying signs of agitation. The staff acted quickly, trying to guide the young elephant away, but he refused to back down. Charlie's calm demeanor shifted to one of protectiveness. He rose to his full height and positioned himself between Ryan and the approaching bull, his ears flaring out in a clear warning. Emma shouted to Ryan to retreat, but Charlie stood his ground. The younger elephant eventually backed off, unwilling to challenge the elder's authority. It was a brief but powerful display, proving that Charlie still possessed a sense of guardianship over the man who had once cared for him. Ryan watched in awe as Charlie returned to him, wrapping his trunk around Ryan's arm gently, as if reassuring him that everything was okay. In that moment, Ryan felt like a young researcher again, with everything feeling new and special, and in some way he suspected Charlie felt the same. Did you enjoy this story? Do you believe animals remember those who loved them even after many years? Would you place blind trust in the animals you love? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked the story, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. The emotions whisper, "I've never seen him behave like this with anyone," she said, clearly amazed. "It's as if he really does remember." Ryan nodded, overwhelmed by a wave of joy and relief. "He does," he said softly. "This isn't just a coincidence. This is Charlie. My old friend is still in there." Charlie's response was heartwarming. He nudged Ryan's chest gently, as if to say, "I remember you." The elephant then took a step back and lifted his trunk high in the air, letting out a triumphant trumpet call. It was as though he was proudly announcing that he had found something or someone precious that had been lost. The sanctuary staff allowed Ryan more time with Charlie, hoping to see if the bond could deepen further, but the reunion, while heartwarming, also posed a challenge. Charlie's behavior had become unpredictable due to the years spent in the wild. The staff suggested a gentle test to see if Charlie would respond to familiar routines Ryan once used in their old days. Ryan had an idea, a simple game he used to play with the young calf years ago. Back then, he would crouch behind a tree and Charlie would delight in finding him, hoping to stir a deeper recognition. Ryan decided to recreate the game in a wooded area of the reserve. As he headed toward the cluster of trees, Charlie followed at a cautious distance. Once they arrived, Ryan slipped behind a massive baobab tree, his heart racing with anticipation peeking out from his hiding spot. He watched as Char paused, seemingly trying to make sense of the situation. After a brief hesitation, the elephant moved closer, his trunk swaying from side to side, searching for the familiar figure from his past, just as he had done decades ago. Charlie found Ryan, but this time he stopped and hesitated before coming closer. It was a small victory, but it gave Ryan hope that Charlie could remember more. However, the game's repetition also exposed the changes in Charlie's behavior. The elephant's moments of hesitation were longer, and he often looked toward the open plains as if expecting to leave. Charlie's time spent with the herd had clearly influenced his instincts, making him more alert to possible threats. Ryan realized that while the bond was being rekindled, there were still barriers built by the years of separation. Emma, observing from a distance, noticed Charlie's growing restlessness. Ryan, she called her voice channel and leave alike the emotions animals experience never cease to amaze us. Thank you so much for listening. See you in the next video. Have a great day.